because tonight and for the remainder of this, for next month, we're celebrating a very auspicious, noteworthy collection of poets and poetry. And see, I don't want to say it wrong again because I've said it wrong already twice. Endangered species, enduring values. Got it. All right. So, and tonight we have two features, and they're splitting a feature slot. And I'm going to do a very brief introduction of the first individual, and I will do the second person in the same way. Queennandi Shabazz was born and raised in the Fillmore by a group of strong black women. Growing up in the concrete jungle of San Francisco's Plaza East public housing, which I have heard of even, Queennandi is a survivor of poverty, betrayal, brutality, and death. At a very young age, she chose the pen, very good choice, as her weapon. She works with Poor Magazine as a motivational speaker, poet, author, and performer. I went, when people do this, I check them out on the web and see if I can find clips and stuff. This is going to be great. I mean, just like a voice, a heart, there's courage, and it's all fresh. So, give her a nice round of applause as she comes up here to do the wowing thing. I'm going to make sure I have this. Okay, so you talk, go straight into it because that's how it picks you up, and make sure if that's good. And I'm going to check you here.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
There we go.
Give another round of applause.
Oh, wait, so something plug it
Plug it up for me now. Come on.
No, try it
now. Give another round of applause to all the beautiful artists that I heard earlier. You guys are so amazing. Especially that one about the Muni with the bus piggies. My 13-year-old daughter calls the Muni enforcement bus piggies. And that was very powerful. As I said before, yes, my name is Queennandi Shabazz. I was born and raised in San Francisco, Plaza East, right along with London Breed. I still have our kindergarten picture together. I'm a survivor of many things. I'm a survivor of hell, basically. And I'm a writer, I'm an author, a journalist. I do a blog every week with Poor Magazine. Telling it like it is because Poor Magazine does not believe in the lie and linguistic domination. So big ups to Poor Magazine for that. Before I start with my story with endangered species, I wanted to say a little piece of introduction into endangered species, and that's coming from my book that's still in production right now. It's called Dear God. You can pre-order this through poormagazine.org or through Amazon, but I suggest you get it in May because right now it's being revised because if my art isn't 100%, then it's not flawless. Okay, first I want to do the little introduction to the stories of endangered species, but this introduction is a small piece called What's Going On in This World. What's going on in this world? What's going on in this world? Well, let me tell you a little something about this thing called life. Many people live it different ways. They do it right or trife. Divine give you choices on this earth to take the righteous path. Devil scrambled up the people. They're colonized, so do the math. Baby girl, do a twirl, open up a kissing booth. Crazy president and the social media's killing off the precious youth. Single mamas full of drama knocking out the voiceless tooth. Men at war, demons taking souls. I pray the devil proof. Having guns is having fun. Ghetto kids shooting odd. Lose your life while you're in a church praying to your God. Reality is TV. Sell your soul, auction off your pearls. Nuclear bombs, expensive homes, starving kids, dying animals. What's going on in this world? Okay, the piece I like to read from the book, Endangered Species and Enduring Values, which I suggest you guys pick up a copy of this, because you're going to need both. You're going to need both. You're going to need all three. We have another one coming out. You're going to need all three. So they're beautiful stories by beautiful artists and people in struggle and people who are survivors and turned their virtues, their faults into virtues. But the story that I have in the book, Endangered Species, is the beautiful story of my Cambodian prince. Boy, I never would have seen this coming, especially at the time of my life when I needed someone the most. At this difficult time, I was trying to figure out how I allowed for a madman to misuse and brutally abuse myself and young daughter, and the burning question was, how was I going to escape this alive? One Friday night, when I had a break from the madman, also known as the Rolling Stone, I put the kid to sleep and put on the movie What's Love Got to Do with It. I'd seen the movie before, but this time when the scene came on when Tina Turner finally broke and ran from the hotel after being assaulted by Ike Turner, the powerful cameo-like tune of the guitar and the whole melody itself tapped into my being, and tears began to flow down my cheeks. It was like the song was telling me to run like hell, just how Miss Tina was running, and that's exactly what I did. Somehow he got wise to the fact that I was gaining the courage to end this relationship, and he barricaded himself and our daughter inside of my apartment, armed with a razor blade, and began to play this weird satanic music while laughing in this disturbed fashion, acting as he was trying to invoke Satan himself. He always expressed that he'd rather die than go back to prison, and I was sure he was going to harm himself and our kid if the cops weren't called, if they were called. I was desperate to get my daughter out of his grasp, so I sought the help of some gangsta homies, quote unquote, that I can't name because I forgot their names because as a result of being a Bob Marley fan over the years. However, these were the no women, no children kind of gangsters. So when I asked them for help to help me get my child from this Mac wannabe, first Philly Negro to worship Satan in the hood as maniac, they did not hesitate to assist me. The plan was to get this nut to open a door. So I had the homeboys lean up against the side of the walls where he could not see their figures through the peephole. I pleaded with him to let me in. I swore I wouldn't leave him. When he opened the door, the homeboy on the left pushed his way in, pistol ready, and was like, "Man, give homegirl her baby back and get the fuck out of here." The madman was taken by surprise because combating men wasn't his bag, only beating and pimping women. He gave me that "what did I do" look, and the homeboy on the right was like, "What you want to do?" I said, "I want his sick ass away from me and my daughter. I don't want him back into this building. If you see him, do not let him up." Real gangsters did not terrorize the community. They protected it. Any young girl can go up to the homeboys and let them know she had any problems. And sometimes they would escort all those girls home. Although I had finally broken free from the maniac, I would not give his name no fame. I'm not speaking his name. It was something that rhymed with champagne. He left us with nothing. So I had to go do what needed doing because I had a kid that needed to eat. He found me and began to stalk and harass me, but by this time, I was pissed and I wasn't running anymore. That same night when I was out on Leavenworth and Turk Street, I saw that young, dark, almond-eyed man that took me decades to find out that he was my true love. "Solo! Whoa, where have you been?" After many hugs, I leaned back up against the car and made the expression on my face a serious one. "Hey, so, could I pay you to post up with me? You know, like, be my enforcer?" I've known Solo since he was young, and he's a feisty kid, and the trust from our friendly bond was still intact. "You know I got your back for sure." He kept his word as far as looking out for me. The madman stopped stalking me, so the nightmare was over for now. Shortly afterwards, Solo moved in with myself and my daughter, and that made me feel more safe. This was my very first apartment ever, and after leaving that abusive relationship, my domain needed a protector. My young Cambodian enforcer eventually became my lover. Solo felt as if he should be the prince, and he should be with his queen, and not on the couch. And I gave in to his will with very little resistance. He sure enough spoiled me rotten. I still smile to myself to this day when I flash back to when we would cook Cambodian food in our tiny kitchen, and Solo would chop up the veggies with lightning speed while I watched over what was already in the skillet. Baby, why we don't have a rice cooker? You know we need one. He would lightly scold every time he looked at our small ass pot that only made 2 cups of rice. Come on, Daddy, you know you can pick out one better than me, I joked. He looked back at me with that bad boy smile. Fuck you. And instead of getting offended, I was aroused. Ooh, baby, you promise? It was like, hell yeah. And we both laughed. Why Solo was able to deliver me out the hell I was going through, both physically and mentally, but felt that despair was the only destiny he deserved, is beyond me. I loved him and I was in love with him, and so was he with me. For us to be as close as we were, I still feel that it was a weak thing to say the L word. It was that way of thinking that brought our true love crashing to a sad and painful halt. The mighty Solo, as I had known him, was strong, protective, funny, fierce, and quick-tempered, especially when someone will make the foolish mistake of believing that Solo was the cry me a river and build me the bridge type. On the flip side, I was the one who truly saw the soft side of this man. Solo never struck me, nor did he ever make me feel less of a woman. But nonetheless, we were young, hustling, crazy, but unified. Our downfall was those devil-ass drugs and the fact that we let our guards down around those whom we thought was our troops, meaning real comrades. To this day, I think about how we had too many people in our circle that didn't care that we were all doing ourselves in, that didn't care about the sacrifice of our son, Osiris. Hell, I didn't care. Every beautiful thing that Solo and I created, or ever would have created, was irredeemably destroyed. And at the end of the day, not too many people had a kind gesture for our downfall at all. If I am to point fingers, it will be towards myself because that's who I blame. Solo was my king and my enforcer, and I was the brains, the psychic, and the queen of the crew. So I was in a position to be able to see bullshit coming. When polluting your temple with the devil's poisons, your eyes are always the first to go. I was very young and very dumb, and despite Solo's craziness, as one would call it, he was truly the love of my life. It hurt my heart so much to lose this man who rescued myself and my daughter from brutality and death when her own father tried to poison her. Solo showed me that us quote-unquote beasts are the ones that are most genuine, most loving, and we have the most humble hearts. But yet we both acted as if the L word was kryptonite, when the L word was one of the words that would have saved us. Folks judge him for his flaws and dictate a doomed destiny and walk around like they never had a pimple on their ass. But let me tell you some truth about Solo, my Cambodian prince. He is one of the most beautiful souled men that I have ever met in my life. He is a fearless, kick your ass no matter who you are, radio totem, sister loving, thuggish rugging, hate to see me bugging, the John Wayne of Chew Dogs, and I missed him dearly. Someone had lied to me and told me years ago that he was dead. So when I found out from his brother that he was still alive, but he had gotten deported, something in my heart had resurrected every moment, every touch, every smell, and every sound. My head began to spin as I thought back to all those weird dreams I've had. The dreams that someone was shouting and they needed me, and where the hell was I? I had to take a drink as I thought back to the dream I had of Solo and woke up damn near breathless. Later on, I took a stroll down to the L's and walked the very blocks we used to dominate. I saw us all. Lace, Mel, Ray Ray, Joe, Fat Boy, Tears, Madison, Ross, Shell, Woody, and Solo. I closed my eyes and inhaled the cologne, the perfume, the beer, the piss, the crack smoke, the shit, and the dry blood, and allowed for myself to embrace the spirit of them days when us Fog City children were all together. Solo and a few of those mentioned were eventually deported and shipped away from us, their families. When Solo was deported, so was my security. I felt as if there was no one. I was here to be to be devoured by these wild dog-ass men who even thought about showing me a pinch of love that Solo did. I was just a trophy queen to these fractious, spineless ones. The deportation of my friends and family made me feel really depressed and alone. I feel angry at the fact that thieves of a land have the authority to say who's illegal and who's not. You would think that the thief of all the lands would be the first illegal, if there is a such thing. The first barred because of documented destruction. I like that term better. Criminalize and deport instead of giving the children what they need and have the right to. Decent housing, health care, education, mental health services, cultural refugee restoration, and linguistic recognition. These are all of the things that children like Solo and myself were denied, and that would have assisted in the healing from cultural trauma and displacement from our motherlands. More than half of the ruling and fooling class would be deported from this beautiful country based upon criminal activity alone. The president himself may even get deported right back to hell. To be able to label us and deport us with impunity is a sickening power. Myself, my American, Latino, African, Asian, and other blessed identities that are my relatives, we are the conscious Americans. That's if you want to waste time with labels. This past May, I started my quest to reconnect with my long-lost love, Solo. I went to Cambodia where Solo is in a cocoon stage of regrowth, like myself and this writing. His angel's wings are tireless. So long as he is still alive, he has that blessed word and blessed hug coming. To put it another way, the story is still being written.
Thank you. Queennandi Shabazz.
And the good news is I found him.
All right.
I found him. So the story continues.
Linda Gonzalez is the author of the award-winning memoir, The Cost of Our Lives. She's a life coach and speaker assisting writers and others to discover and reach their precious goals, and that's very important. Born in Los Angeles of immigrant parents from Mexico and Colombia, Linda has lived in the Bay Area for 25 plus years, and she's also a life coach and a what she has here, a facilitative consultant. So, Linda, come on up here, and we'll get this going. And as you notice, it's a crowded place. So please, when we come back, we're going to take after she reads, we're going to do a very short break, and then we'll manipulate things in the time zone. Thank you. Give her a nice round, please, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yeah. Thank you, David.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much. Thanks to all of you for coming out and supporting.
Really close.
Really close.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks to all of you for coming out and supporting endangered species, enduring values, and just art in general. Part of it is to take grief and pain and to make it into something beautiful. I'm going to read a short essay from this anthology, and then a short chapter from my memoir, and then a short poem. You inspired me to think about poetry again. Dia de los Muertos. Every year as November 1st approaches, I do the math to remember how long ago my father passed away on Dia de los Muertos. This year, I dutifully pulled up my calculator and subtracted 1996 from 2018. 22 years. And then the obvious hits me. I can always know how long it has been since he passed on to his next life by subtracting 1 year from my twins' age. They are 23 and were just a year old when their abuelo died. I remember carrying Gina down the aisle behind the casket, her and Theo's new life blooming while that same year Tots had faded. I set up my altar this week, pulling out the pictures of my dearly departed and adding new ones from this year. The first step is always laying out the cross-stitched mantle with years of stains and a dark mark from when a candle burned too hot. I tape papel picado above the altar, remembering this ritual is not a dirge. It is an opening of the veil to celebrate the lives that touched me and my comunidades. It is a time to think about why I miss them and to ponder how to keep them alive in the present moment. I imagine my dad's disappointed spirit hovering over Los Dodgers as they lost in the World Series. I invoke my mom's stovetop magic as I figure out what to do with a bag of zucchini that must get cooked tonight. I remember the mothers who grieve their sons' vibrant spirits every day, and I take a moment to send Snapchats to my beloved cuates. Dia de los Muertos is so ingrained in my being that I am startled to see people in costume. My mind wonders for a second, what's that all about? This is amazing because I was so involved in Halloween while my children were growing up, making costumes, figuring out the healthiest candy to hand out, trading my children's candy for money so they would not get overloaded with sugar, and so I could store their loot for the next Halloween. In years past, I have hosted gatherings to decorate sugar skulls, loving this tradition of blending death with creativity. I treasured giving my children and their friends the chance to be playful and imaginative with something that so many people fear. As a writer, I live in that crevice of light and shadow, writing drafts only to end their existence for another version, and then another, and then yet another. I love the transparency of life and death, the calavares that dance and meditate and watch TV. Each skeleton could be any one of us, and one day we will know what our antepasados experienced after their last out-breath. One day we will see there is no separation between any of us, alive and dead. The first and only altar in my parents' home was the one we created on a cake after my dad's funeral, laying out the detallitos of his life that he allowed to be visible. The secrets were still within him, the wisps of energy that over the years encircled us with cariño or strangled our voices or tripped us as we ran. As I set up my altar year after year, I breathe in the musty smell of the newspapers I have carried from home to home. These crinkled papelitos wrap and unwrap memories and give space for those I loved and lost to whisper consejos in the stillness. I unbind my heart wounds and apply the salve gained from another year of living. That little bit more of perspective and wisdom nestled in my corazón that wraps around me like a soft, colorful rebozo. I'm going to read a short chapter from my memoir called Crazy with a Purpose. It talks about how this book came to be. I jumped at the chance to attend a writing retreat in Sierra Hot Springs the summer of 2000. Writing called to me as a sob, a private entry into my fierce and weary heart. I hadn't been alone and unencumbered in a while. I felt my body breathing deeply as the beauty of the Sierras unfolded down the drive. After arriving and tossing my duffel bag on the floral bedspread, I joined a group of women around the dining room table. The first exercise was a visualization that involved going deep inside my body. Turning inward, I saw my body empty, dark, bluish black. I went into my right leg and the ligament was white with a black, jagged hole. Then it slowly became tinged with green, and it seemed possible to converse with pain as a way to heal it. The instructor Terry asked us, "What is the story that haunts you, that you don't know how to tell, that was passed on to you?" My gut balked, but I wrote it down. The story of my father growing up, leaving his family in Mexico, starting another one here in the U.S. While I listed other possibilities, this had the scent that my nose wanted to follow. Arriving home 2 days later, I resolved to write about my father's life, about the ways we had protected him, holding on to his image as an upright man, despite an egregious act. I hired a coach to keep me on track with my writing. but my check-ins were mostly telling her about the unexpected rapids and swirling eddies that knocked me off my riding plan. The kids got sick. My mom's caretaker quit. My client freaked out and I had to do an unplanned intervention. The Monday before leaving for our usual Thanksgiving in LA, I called my coach. "What do you want to commit to your riding?" she asked. "I need to meet my Mexican sisters." "This week?" "No," I laughed, "but soon. I need to hear their stories so I can write my own." "That's a big commitment." "I know, it's crazy, but it's crazy with a purpose." "Well, what would be the first step?" "That's easy. I'll talk to my brother Miguel when I'm in LA." Miguel and I were the middle children in each trio, reluctant heroes who had inherited our father's attraction to tilting at windmills. Even though I hadn't yet asked, there was no doubt that he would say yes. I was ready for family beliefs to shift and allow the tide of life to flow like never before. Freedom was the flip side of duty, two sides of the same coin. I was crossing borders for a better life, the risks yet undecipherable. After perusing my regular writing goals, I knew they were beyond my reach that week, so I penned a poem. Mom's rhythm lost is mine gained. Her language devalued is mine to honor. Her memories of pain are mine to forgive. New beginnings bubble up in the maelstrom of regret and loss that swirls in my heart, looking for healthy tissue to nurture, atrophied muscles to pump oxygen into, unabashedly breaking laws about the old dream we were handed as our salvation. I then got up and pulled out my suitcase. My son Theo walked in and hopped onto the futon couch. "Are you daydreaming, querido?" I asked. "Yes," he said. "What do you think about when you daydream?" I asked. "I see a cow. Es negro, moreno o blanco. It's black. Es un toro, una vaca. It's a vaca. Does it talk to you?" "No, it's on an island, eating grass." I smiled, imagining this cow on an island. After that day, we would ask him when he got a faraway look on his face if he was with the vaca on the island. His answer was often, "Yes, I am."
Thank you.